All right, I guess you'd call the original Ally McBeal an absurdist romantic comedy drama. I went and rewatched some of it. I forgot. I remember the absurd elements. I forgot it had some dramatic elements to it. It wasn't just a pure comedy. So click the links, join the channel, become a member, check out the subscribe star, the various other. I put videos on subscribe star now. So She-Hulk, She-Hulk, old She-Hulk, or at least its equivalent, and new She-Hulk. Is this a turning point in woke? Have we reached the apogee, a peak? I don't know. No, of course not. If you have any hope for anything to do with pop culture or Hollywood, how can you still have any spark of hope after all this time? I mean, you got to give it up. Like seriously, you can watch the old stuff, or you can pick another hobby. That's how bad it is. Or I guess you know what the new interest might be: microfilms, small films, indie films, where they dial all this stuff back, or they purposely go like a South Park kind of thing, where it's like they start off offensive right from the start, like with it BLT POC jokes, and it's like, yep, this is who we are. You knew this coming on board, so you have no cause to complain. That actually works pretty well if you do that kind of thing right from the start. So no, there's nothing in the mainstream that you're going to want to watch. I mean, how many times can you be abused before you go, I'm just out of here. This is not... I guess I can, like, that time you spend watching, being enthusiastic for movies, and yeah, I used to be enthusiastic for that stuff. I mean, a little bit enthusiastic. I think back, I'm like, yeah, I guess that was 20 years ago. When was, I don't know, 15 years ago when the first Marvel stuff and the DC stuff really kind of took off. It's been a while. It's like you can think back to comics and go, oh yeah, comics were good, and you start thinking, oh, that was decades ago. That was like, oh yeah, pre-90s comics. So that was, it's 30 years ago. You're saying it was like 1992. So 30 years ago, comics were, you would find more good comics than bad. Then after that, it just kind of, I don't know when they peaked. Maybe 82. So it was like 40 years ago. So from earlier than 82, that was great comics. Yeah, there was a lot of great comics earlier than 82. It's like, well, if you're talking about 30 or 40 years old, it's not even really a thing anymore, right? If it's that friggin' old, and this show's 20, 25 years old, something like that. Anyway, no, you have not I don't know if you've reached peak woke, but it's not going to go back in the other direction. Like, there's zero chance of that. So keep in mind that everything now, these aren't shows. They're propaganda designed to cause conflict. In this example, to cause conflict between the sexes. Why Ally McBeal works, and you can find it online. It's adorable. And it went for 5 seasons. And if I look at it now, like, if that came out now, it would be the biggest hit on streaming or TV. Like, if they just came out the way it was, it would be huge. Not because it's that great. It's not. It's just lightweight fluff. It's okay. Probably more for chicks, but it was cute and clever and lighthearted. But because everything nowadays is that bad, really, really bad. It's kind of like when It's Always Sunny came out. I don't know. About 15 years ago. It wasn't brilliant. It's still not brilliant. You look around at the stuff that was coming out the same time period when everything else, I don't know when that was, like 2008 or something. And it was like, oh, everything else just sucks. Even back then, it was 15 years ago, stuff just sucked. It's Always Sunny was like, yeah, it was pretty good. It was solid, but everything else in comparison was dog shit. It's like, yeah, it hasn't got any better. Everything's got worse. And now It's Always Sunny has got totally, after season 9, it just not unwatchable, which is the same with She-Hulk, and which is going to be the same with probably everything coming from the mainstream. Abandon all hope. So Ally McBeal was cute personally, but also in spirit. Yeah, I just realized that. I think that's the guy from Ghostbusters Part 2. Okay, so her outlook on life is going to be that of a beautiful woman, because obviously Callista Flockhart, I'm assuming, has got to be some kind of model or something. It's hard to be bitter when you're just gorgeous. The She-Hulk is not beautiful, and the thing is, I'm not talking about the actor. I mean, because hair and makeup can change things quite a bit. Like they're making her look the way she looks, because that's part of this show. The thing is, as she's portrayed in the show, you can believe that she's a bitter, angry, pain in the ass, someone who just looking at it realize, yeah, the resting bitch face. Oh, okay, we're not talking about the real world here. Keep in mind, this is just escapist fiction for people to have 35 minutes of entertainment. And Hollywood seems to forget that concept, but I think people are going to learn how to forget Hollywood. So the problem is that pop culture shows are to entertain and not to grind an axe, whether it's feminism or anything else. It gets old real quick. I understand this is a chick show, but I don't know. We'll see how it does. I kind of wonder about it. Everything in that show, the first episode, was this straw man argument about men, and everything feels ugly and cruel. Her life isn't harder than the Hulk's. You effing idiot. You're not familiar with, like, the character at all. Like, everything that the character has gone through in canon. He tried to delete himself. His canon is that he's being tortured as being the Hulk, which he very much does not want to be. How can you not have read the comics or at least watch the movies? There's probably half a dozen movies where he's in it, including the first one from like 2003 that Velvet Revolver did one of the soundtracks to. That was the best part of the movie, was Scott Weiland and Velvet Revolver doing that Set Me Free track. The writer is totally unfamiliar with the character that even me, who I would consider an amateur of the Hulk, I know the character better than them. And as an amateur, I've read all of the original Hulk comic and some of the offshoot stuff, which the original comic, it's amazing how good it is, even though you think, like, that's kind of a limited character. He gets big and strong and stupid and runs around. It's like, yeah, but I don't know, the writers managed to make it work. But in story canon, the show is developmentally disabled. Outside the story universe, it also is, because men objectively have harder lives than women. Even most women will admit that. I mean, you can go watch the Red Pill movie that made a big splash, I don't know, 2016 or something. Or you can just start looking at the different lives people live on average. There's no, in the first world, I'll say, there's no comparison. I mean, there's so many different brutal examples. Her assumption, she has it worse than the Hulk, or that men in general have it easier than women, is asinine. Men literally die earlier than women. They're homeless more. They drug ODs, self-deletion. They go to war. They work the most filthy, dangerous jobs on Earth, and most men don't even think about it. We don't expect anything different. And yes, you reap the rewards, but you also get all the downside too. And, like, objectively, on average, men pay into society way more than women. Women take out of society. If you didn't have this big group of men to sustain a society, I mean, objectively looking at the numbers, you'd be in deep. You wouldn't have a society without men working to maintain it. And it's like, men don't expect any accolades for that at all. It's like, oh, you're just going to work the most dangerous electrical job in the world, like in wet conditions. Yep, someone has to do it. It's like, yeah, okay, it's a good salary, but it's like, it's also, I mean, all these kind of things. It's like, there's countless examples of, every time you look at these positions, go, oh, that, of course there's a man in the position. Of course. It's like, they want parody, but they don't want to do the most horrific. Someone's got to go out down in the storm drains, and it's like, yeah, that's not where you're going to find them that often. But they would if they could. It's like, no, they wouldn't, because obviously, women, men. It's like, they don't want to do that, and men don't expect them to, because of biological reasons, because they're societal expectations. The biological ones are that when you're young and fertile, you will pair bond and have children to continue the species. Men are expendable biologically. They know that, but they also have to reap some reward, which objectively you look at it, it's like they really don't. For what men pay into the system, they don't get those rewards. And the fucked up thing is, men don't even expect them. Now with the whole family court situation, it's like people are starting to wake up a little bit. But to diminish the Hulk's pain and sacrifice and tragedy, and then men in general, that is brutally cruel, and it feels malicious to be so unaware. And you talk about, like, privilege, and I'm not saying women privilege in general, because most women don't. They know, like, everyone just has a different place in the universe. But for the writers to not be cognizant of the different lives men lead is so bizarre. To show your absolute disdain for people who, like, created the society you have, for good or for evil. But it's like, it's still, you'd be in a different spot if women ran society. It'd be Wakanda. Like, everyone knows it wouldn't be. There's very few people who think it would be an improvement. So anyway, to diminish men is it's just the absurd height of Hollywood hubris. It's like I did this earlier video where the celebrities are lecturing us on environmentalism, and then you look at the water usage for Kim Kardashian to all these Hollywood people and go like, oh yeah, they used 250,000 gallons of water over the limit this month, or the carbon footprint of like Leonardo DiCaprio to Bernie Sanders, like, oh, they fly their private jet to go across the state, and it's the absolute, oh, you guys need to use plastic straws that or I don't know, cardboard straws or something that come in a plastic wrapper. It's the most. Oh, hey, Khloe Kardashian took a 3-minute Gulf Stream flight where she burned like 6,000 gallons, something just ridiculous amount of carbon footprint. It's like, oh, so you're lecturing us that we need to like take the bus, eat the pods, and live in the bugs kind of thing. So it's like, well, you know what I mean with that. It's just like everything is clown world. That's which is the height of Joker Planet is that you can't write that phrase clown stuff in the comments. It just won't show up. Anyway, so I was playing Ally McBeal. The whole vibe is night and day different. I mean, you can look at the production stills for this show. She-Hulk is written by an idiot with an agenda. Ally McBeal's agenda is to entertain you and sell advertising time. That's how most shows function. It's pretty simple. It's a cute, lightweight show. Plus, 1997 was a better time in America. I think most people are on board with that. 2022 is not good. No shit, buddy. Beyond, people are already stressed out, obviously. Why would Disney add fuel to this fire? Because that's one of the goals of Disney, to divide and destroy. By now, you gotta know that this isn't about money. Obviously, something deeper is going on here. Yeah, no shit. I think there's a lot of people who are waking up to that. Like, oh, they're... Like, you're not wearing a tinfoil hat. You can hear, I'm not crazy. In an institution, all I wanted was a Pepsi. She-Hulk could have been a huge hit. It would have been a nice break for people. That's all. That's what people pay for this entertainment for. Freaking-tainment. The 50, and Disney just raised their prices too. I mean, I would not. It would break my soul if I paid for any of this stuff. Instead, it's a lecture by a bunch of assholes from a company run by assholes. And I suspect that the only people, well, I won't say watching it because people watch to cringe watch. I'll say the only people enjoying it are probably also a bunch of assholes. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check me out on the subscribe star, Patreon, Odyssey, Bit Chute, Gab, Telegram, and I'll see you guys all next episode.